Hi, I would like to share with you a great interview that I have here with Mr. Jerry Hawthorne, and he's designed some games. And so I'm very thankful that Jerry's here to talk about them and himself and board games in general. And maybe some other things we don't know. Who knows? I don't even know. Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay, well, that's what I was looking for.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. I knew you would enjoy being here, so that's why I asked you. So let's start off with the elephant in the room. Why do you choose to feature mice in your games?
Well, as you know, mice are very small.
Let me try something. Hold on a minute. Why mice, Master Jerry? So it's from Batman Begins. You know how Alfred says, "Why bats, Master Bruce?"
Oh.
And then Bruce says, "Because bats frighten me."
Aha.
And so, do you mind doing this little scene with me? Okay,
No.
so I'll be Alfred, and you be Bruce, but instead of saying bats, you can say mice. Or however you want to say mice are small, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All right, ready?
Okay.
And click. Why mice, Master Jerry?
Well, because mice are small and fragile and cuddly and cute, and everybody cares about their safety.
That works. I think that's a much better explanation than like when Bruce Wayne says that bats frighten him.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of crazy. You continue to use mice in your games, right? Aside from Mice and Mystics, they show up again in
Aftermath.
Aftermath.
Yes, Aftermath. There's some mice in there.
Are there mice in Tail Feathers?
There's some mice in tail feathers, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And birds as well.
Birds. I do like birds. Why, out of all of the different board game publishers, why Plaid Hat? Why do you choose to share your designs with Plaid Hat?
Well, because I am good friends with the guy Colby Daviau, who created Plaid Hat Games. He's a good friend of mine. I've known him for years.
I like to think that we're good friends. I've only known you a couple weeks, but I think that you don't need very long to become a good friend with somebody.
That's right. I'm a friendly guy.
I think so. So while we're on the subject of hats, why... I'm really confused. Like, why is the hat plaid? You see? Because, like, why is it not houndstooth or argyle? Like, would you still work here if the hat wasn't plaid?
I mean, I would work here if it was a top hat. But plaid is just the fabric that the hat was made out of that Colby first wore when some of his first pictures appeared on the internet.
Well, plaid is definitely in right now. In fact, I was doing some research, in preparation for this interview about fabrics, and I came across this fabric supply company, and it's called. Let me see if I have this right. Yeah, Hawthorne Supply Company. They supply fabric. Is there any relation there?
There's no affiliation whatsoever.
Oh, okay. I just thought I'd ask. So, okay, well, we'll move on to the next one.
Hawthorne's a fairly common name.
Mm-hmm.
And plaid's a fairly common fabric choice.
Mm-hmm.
Especially among people who are lumberjacks and...
Yes, and like syrup.
Yes.
I love syrup, so I should probably get a plaid hat.
Everybody should probably have a plaid hat.
You heard it here, folks.
Everybody loves syrup.
Go grab you a plaid hat and some syrup, and you'll be good to go. So, Jerry, you have quite the impressive catalog, if you will, of games that you've designed. Can you refresh my memory, and for anybody that's watching that doesn't know, what games have you designed?
I designed Mice and Mystics and Tail Feathers and Stuffed Fables, Comanauts, and Aftermath. And I was a co-designer on Battleship Galaxies.
Battleship Galaxies.
Yes.
I got that for Christmas one year. My in-laws, my brother and sister-in-law, they knew that I like games, and so for Christmas they gave me Battleship Galaxies. I remember they had those cool little miniatures. It was the most epic game of Battleship I've ever played, so congratulations.
Thank you.
So tell me, what does it take to be a professional game designer?
Well, it takes a lot of hard work, creativity.
Maybe I should rephrase the question, because that's not exactly what I was looking for. How did you get to be a professional game designer?
I started off as a playtester for Hasbro, and then I moved into content developer, started making cards and stuff for Hasbro, and then
I just thought of something. You have a very similar career path. Well, maybe not exactly, but do you know Rob Daviau?
yes,
Did he not work at Hasbro too?
he did. Yes, he was one of the first people that I met and worked with when I
Oh, so you know
started working
Rob.
at Hasbro. Yes.
You know, Rob's really good at taking already good game designs and making them legacy games. Did you know that?
Yes, he's pretty good at everything.
True. Do you think any of your games are good material for a legacy game?
Sure, yeah. I think a lot of games are.
Which, if you had to pick just one of your games, you could only pick one. Rob comes up to you and say, "Hey, I'm Rob. I want to make a legacy game out of one of your games, but you can only pick one." What would you say to him? Did you like my impression, by the way?
That does look nothing like Rob. He doesn't talk like that. He doesn't use karate chops like that.
Well, in my dreams, he does.
So, which of my games would I have Rob Daviau redesign into a legacy format?
What if you used... I just had a good idea. Because I'm looking at the stuffed Fables posted right now. You could use, like, real little stuffed animals, and then when they lose their stuffing, you could actually rip it out. And then you have to go back in and, like, sew it back up whenever you heal. That's pretty legacy-ish.
Yes, that's very legacy-ish. You should talk to Rob about that.
I did have him on a podcast one time. He convinced me to spend $150 on Fireball Island. Well, I have some more questions for you, if you don't mind. Do you mind?
No, that's what I'm here for.
Oh, thank goodness. Do you have, I'm sure a lot of your time is spent with games, like playing games. Clearly you design games. Do you do anything else? Do you have any other hobbies?
Well, yeah, like most people, I have a variety of things that I do in my life besides just board games. I'm a husband and a father. I'm also involved with my kids' school activities and stuff.
Can you tell me about, because I feel like I heard somewhere, did your children inspire you in some of your games? Like, were they inspiration?
Sure, and they continue to inspire me.
Any other hobbies, like outside of family, and do you like to cook?
I like to cook, yes. I also like to exercise, and
I do too.
I like to drink beer.
Me too. What's your favorite?
I like dark beers, but right now I'm like all into these IPAs.
You know, I had an IPA phase once, and then all of a sudden they were just, I don't know, not in my phase anymore. But my wife likes dark beers, and we have been drinking this delicious, like, harvest shandy. It's really good. So, it's that time of year when you're going to have pumpkin everything, so...
Pumpkin spice beer?
Yes. What if you made a pumpkin spice board game? It could either smell like pumpkins, or maybe that's the theme, right? You've got all these different products, and you have to figure out the right mixture of the different components to make it a good pumpkin spice concoction.
That sounds like a brilliant idea. You should get to work on that.
You hear that? I think this is good.
It's a hit waiting to happen.
Jerry. What is Jerry short for? Is it short for anything? Like Jeremiah?
Nope, it's just Jerry. It's just
Jerry,
plain old-fashioned Jerry.
Is it short for Jerry Seinfeld?
No.
What's
Just
the deal
Jerry.
with board games? Do you like that?
Do
I sound like Jerry?
Yes, you're just
see
exactly
what
like Jerry Seinfeld.
Okay. Are you having a good time?
I am. Thank you.
You know why? You know why it's going good?
Uh,
Because I'm wearing my Lucky Cheeseburger socks.
I see that. Yes.
And like the heel
That
is
explains
yellow, like mustard. How long have you lived in Texas? Plaid Hat, by the way, is headquartered in Texas.
I've lived here for about 19 years.
Well, I have you beat. I've lived here for 31 years.
Okay. Yes, you do have me.
So I win. So you mentioned that you were a content developer.
Yes.
I do research, like I said, and I heard too that you were a content developer for Hero Quest.
Hero Quest.
Is that correct?
That's not correct. No.
Heroescape?
Heroescape. Yes.
So you're a content developer. I am also a content developer.
Oh, you are.
Sort of. I mean, creator, developer, I feel like they're kind of the same. Is there a difference between a developer and a creator?
I think that you're creating stuff, so you could be considered a creator.
Does a developer, yes, they normally come along though with something that someone's created and make it better than that person that made it. It's like, hey, you did pretty good, but I'm going to make it much better. Is that what a developer does?
Not exactly. I mean, you provide that extra set of eyes and extra set of creative ideas that help make something better. Make sure that it's like meeting its potential. The idea.
I always wonder if I'm meeting my potential.
I would say you probably are.
Thanks, Jerry. So I'm a content developer. So we kind of do the same thing. So you started as a content developer, and now here you are. You developed, and now you're designing games for Plaid Hat. So, given the same trajectory, me starting where you were, does that mean that very soon I will have a job here?
That may happen someday.
Okay.
Anything's possible. Put your mind to it.
It's true. Here I am, having an interview with Jerry. Never thought that was possible, and yet here we are.
Here we are.
I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I play Stuffed Fables with my daughter. I haven't played Mice and Mystics. I haven't played Coma Knots. I haven't played Aftermath because you haven't given them to me like I asked you to, but we'll leave that aside. But so you've got the storybook games, and as you go along, you meet different characters and whatnot. Let's say that you were to design a storybook game based off of your life. And in the chapter where I come in, where we have this interview and we meet up and whatnot, what would I be? Like, would I be a villain? Or would I be a hero? Or NPC, maybe? What do you think?
I'm thinking NPC.
Okay. You know, I would rather be an NPC than a villain. But you know what they say. You either die an NPC or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Isn't that what they say?
Yes, I've heard that before.
You know, the phrase, you know what they say. Who is they?
I have a character that you remind me of that's an NPC in one of my games.
Is it a current game?
It's one of my older titles.
Okay.
It's the expansion for Mice and Mystics called Heart of Glorm, and there's this character.
Am I Glorm?
Nope.
Oh.
You're more like the Pack Rat. Because he's kind of an interesting character.
So I'm an interesting character?
I think you're rather interesting.
I appreciate that. That word gets thrown around a lot. This is interesting. Oh, interesting. How interesting. But it really does have some weight to it. I mean, because if something's not interesting, then why would you even pay attention to it?
There you have
So you've given me some affirmation, and I feel like I matter. Thanks, Jerry.
You matter.
Jer, thank you. You doing all right?
I'm doing
Doing
well.
great?
Doing well.
Okay, because you didn't ask me, but yes, I'm doing good too.
I can tell.
No, I don't do good. Superman does good. I'm doing well. Stole that from Tracy Morgan. So, I cross this one off to make sure I know that I've already asked it. We wouldn't get unorganized here, would we, Jerry?
No.
We were just talking about... Oh, it's funny. I wrote the word interesting here. And we just had this conversation about the word interesting. Isn't that interesting?
That is very interesting.
I thought so, too. You tell some interesting stories in your games. And I think the one I find the most interesting is comanauts. Now, I don't know where you came up with this idea of comatose astronauts as they fly through space in a coma. Like, who drives the spaceship?
I think you're misunderstanding the game. It has nothing to do with real astronauts in comas flying through space. There's a lot more to it.
But what about, is there a coma? Are there people in a
Yes,
coma?
yes, the main character is in a coma, but you don't get to play that guy.
Oh, so he's like an NPC?
Kind of like an interesting NPC, yes.
Mm-hmm. An INPC?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like
me?
Yeah, like you.
I love it.
Only in a coma. His mind is very interesting and stuff.
Yeah.
And so you go inside of his mind and try to bring him out of his coma
So
by settling some of the unresolved things in his life.
where do the astronauts come in?
There are no astronauts in the game.
So you have coma plus not, or not, yeah. So when you make a compound word, I don't know if you're familiar with how this works, but you take one word and you cut half of it off. You take another word that you cut half of it off. There I go with my chopping again.
Yes.
And so you've got comatose and astronauts. So coma nuts.
That's right.
Seems to me like there should
I made
be
a word. I invented a word specifically for this game.
But they're not astronauts.
Nope, they're not astronauts.
What kind of knots are they?
Comanauts.
That just makes too much
Instead
sense.
of flying in space, they fly in your inner space.
Oh. Is that a tagline on the box?
It should be.
It should be. Second edition.
Perhaps,
Good?
Perhaps.
All right, that's the deal. Mark my words. If it gets a second printing and it's not there, this guy's on the hook. Somebody's coming out. Gotta stop the interview. But you're good. Yeah, go for it. Sorry. You're fine. We're just doing an interview. It's all right. If you could play a game with any celebrity other than myself, who would it be?
Any celebrity other than yourself.
And you can't say Rob.
Probably Keanu Reeves.
Would he say, I know board games? You know, like in Matrix when he says, I know Kung Fu.
I doubt it.
Okay.
Because he's too cool for that.
Aren't they making another Matrix movie? Isn't that what they said?
Yes.
Are you excited?
Yes.
Do you like The Matrix?
I do.
I only saw the first one. Let me ask you this. Now this is where we get to the root of it all.
Okay.
Would you take the blue pill or the red pill?
Take the blue pill.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that goes back to your life.
I don't know what they do.
I would take the pill that Keanu took because he's cool and it got him out of the Matrix bubble.
So you know those inspirational posters that are like, the sky is the limit. I want one that says, take the pill that Keanu took. One of my favorite mechanisms, everybody's got their favorite mechanisms, but one of my favorite is programmed action, programmed movement. Just this idea of putting down cards and then what happens. It's crazy. It works for me because I'm really bad at strategizing. And so when I play a game, it ends up being almost like a program action game anyway because, well, didn't mean to do that. I ruined the game for everybody. And that's kind of what happens during an action selection or action programming game. Would you ever design a program action game, let's see, that it's kind of like maybe one of your storybooks, opens up, it's got, like each page is a different map, and I think of like maybe robots, and maybe one is like a cat on a Roomba, and it's cooperative and you all work together.
You mean like Quirky Circus? Nikki Valens. The game we played last week.
Okay, so
I wouldn't need to design that because Nikki Valens has already designed that awesome game.
And you know why it's awesome? Because Nikki's awesome.
Yes, she is. But the game is awesome for its own merits.
That is also true. That brings me to the question, though. Can someone who is not awesome create something that is awesome?
Yes.
Jerry, I'm doing all the question asking. Do you have any questions? Do you want to... No, you can't have that. Do you have any questions to ask me?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Good. So you've told us about your games. We kind of know everything that you've created. Maybe not everybody's.
I have a question.
Oh, yes.
Are you for real?
You want to touch me?
No, I see you're physically here, but are you for real?
It's a question that plagues humanity, isn't it? Don't you ever just ask yourself, am I for real? Kind of like the Matrix. If you take the red pill, you are for real, or blue. Whatever pill that Keanu took, then you're for. Is that how it worked? Like, then he's real?
I don't ever ask myself
All right,
those
so,
questions.
but let me just answer a little bit more directly. I am who I am. And so...
Green eggs and ham?
Don't be ridiculous. I'm almost done wasting your time. Tail feathers. I love that idea of birds. Do the mice ride on the birds? Is that how it works? Because again, I haven't played it because you never sent it to me. But can you kind of explain the general idea?
It's a skirmish game, and you have these mice and rats that are flying around on birds, fighting each other. But you also have these tree branches and stuff where you have other critters who are running around in the trees fighting each other as well, trying to defend your chunk of the forest from the bad guys.
What are some of the mechanisms? Did I read that there's action programming in that? Like maybe kind of, sort of?
There is. It's very light action programming. You have to call out the different movement templates that you're going to use to your opponent before you actually put them down and make your flight.
You know how much I love action movement programming.
I've heard that, yes.
So, if you have a game of tail feathers, just you're using it as a paperweight or something.
Just laying around.
I'm here. So just throwing that out there.
Okay.
All right. So, but tail feathers, I saw some really good reviews on tail feathers, and I know that people liked it. I do see, like, people talking about Mice and Mystics a little bit, like it's a little bit more on the top of the when it rises, like. Anyway, more top of mind maybe, but not because of like the difference in quality. I think it's just more like the different type of game. But let me ask you this: so, right now, do you Wingspan? Have you heard of it?
I have heard of it. Yes.
A lot of people have.
Yeah, it's very popular.
And because it's popular, birds are now popular. So
they are super popular.
I saw another game that was been announced. I don't remember who, but it's another bird game coming out. Like, oh man, here they come. Here come the bird games. Did you hear that? We said it at the same time. I would like to see, now that birds are big.
Big birds?
What?
You said you'd like to see now that birds
What do you think
are
this
big.
is, Sesame Street?
Well, no.
Okay, you're right.
I was jumping ahead.
I
I'm
know.
sorry.
Well,
You said big birds, and I was like, I thought you were talking about.
No, Jerry, no big birds. But I think it would be cool, like, maybe people that weren't aware of tail feathers maybe would now discover it because birds are big. And maybe they'll go in and see, oh, I like Wingspan.
So you're basically saying that people would discover a game that I created after it's already been discontinued. Yeah, I'll just cry right now.
You'll cry.
right now.
But because they so I'm sorry, I did not realize that is discontinued. But I still think that when things are discontinued, like sometimes people are discontinued. Abraham Lincoln, for example,
Was discontinued?
well, I mean, so to speak, right? He's not.
No, not so to speak.
Okay, well then he's not. Well, let's put that analogy aside. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's awesome that birds are good and they're good material for games. Do you agree?
I agree.
Okay, excellent. Okay, well, Jerry, this has been an interview. I'm gonna stop it now. But before I go, are there any secret projects that you can tell everybody about so that they're not a secret anymore?
No, I don't think I have anything that I can talk about right now.
What about, to this point in time, there are games that have been announced but cannot be bought yet. So if I were to ask you, what are some upcoming games from Jerry? What would you say?
I would say that next week, the little card game Battlelands that I worked on is going to be available, and I designed part out as a developer on that one.
Oh, there's that word again.
By Andrea Mezzatero, and it's set in the Aftermath world. It's a little card game where you get to play these battling little factions of critters in the Aftermath world. And then Aftermath comes out at the end of September, and that's my big game this year.
That's awesome. Did you know that my birthday is in September?
I did not know. I did not know your birthday was in
See,
September.
I would think that you did because clearly you planned 2 games to be released during the month of my birthday.
I did not know that your birthday was in September.
He's just joking. He's known all
No,
along.
I seriously did not know
Okay,
that
well,
your birthday.
That's
These games have nothing to do
okay.
with your birthday.
Well, anything you want to say? Anything else before I go?
Thank you for having me on your show. It's been interesting.
There's that word again. Interesting. I would agree with Jerry. This has been interesting. And thank you. Thank you so much for being an interesting person to talk to for this interesting video.
Thank you.
Now, if you want to be interesting, Jerry would love to hear from you. I would love to hear from you. Let us know. Say, hey, Jerry, I like your shirt. Hey, Spencer, happy birthday. September's my favorite month because it's your birthday. That would be interesting. Would you agree?
Very.
All right, well, I'm talking too much. I just need to cut this down. Bye.